But this next story is another one you and Plane and Pilot, is a really interesting, very cool feature. And as someone who flies Cubs, probably connects to you very personally as well. Tell us a little bit about what our audience is about to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been flying for the last 10 years, and I learned to fly in old tail draggers, an Aranca Champ specifically, and then I transitioned and made my way into J3 Cubs, Carbon Cubs, Super Cubs, all the Cubs, and now I'm getting to fly a Husky, which is fun as well. So yeah, I mean, it's just been a great road for me. I'm a tail dragger girl at heart, but there is one Cub species that I have yet to fly, and that is the Legend Cub. And if you're familiar with the name Trent Palmer, you'll know where I'm going with this. Trent is a Legend Cub owner, and he is located out west. He does a ton of backcountry flying with this particular aircraft. And yeah, I got to sit down with him, actually walk around with him yesterday and check out his Legend Cub, which is sitting over at the Garmin booth if you're here at the show and would like to go check it out. I got to climb in it, sit in it, compare it to some of the other Cubs I'm more familiar with. We just had a great time.
Awesome. Let's meet Trent Palmer.
Hey everyone, Kayla McLeod here with Plane and Pilot Magazine, and I'm with Trent Palmer. We are here at the Garmin booth. And thanks so much, Trent, for coming out and talking to us today.
Absolutely, happy to be here.
Yeah, so Trent, I'm a Cub girl. I love Cub Crafters products. I love Super Cubs. I love old J3s. I know nothing about these Legend Cubs, though. I've never even sat in one. I'd love to try it on for size, kind of compare, and maybe do a little walk around in the airplane and, just get to know it a little bit.
Yeah, well, so for someone that understands Cubs, that doesn't know necessarily about Legend, what we're working with is a modern day Super Cub. And when I say that, I mean these were PA-18 plans. Legend widened the fuselage 3 inches. They've added some reinforcements for the large baggage that we'll show you. They also, from the front gear attached forward, have beefed things up for heavier engines. Obviously, that's not the case with the Rotax 916, but what I end up with is a very strong utility aircraft that still flies light and sporty, and it kind of is a no-compromise Cub.
Awesome. So for people that might not be familiar with your YouTube channel, can you just give the folks back at home a brief summary of who you are and what you do with this airplane?
Yeah, well, my name's Trent. I'm based in Reno, Nevada. I am a filmmaker by trade, although slowly shifting more to YouTube content creation, and I fly a big tire plane in the backcountry and avoid pavement at all costs.
Right.
And I just try to bring people along for the adventure.
All right, awesome. Well, let's go try it on for size.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do it.
Yeah, so what it should feel like, again, versus a Carbon Cub and some of the other competitors that are Cub-like, this is a Cub. We're talking most of the parts from a Piper or a PA-18 are going to bolt right onto this thing. With the widening of the fuselage, you'll feel that you have a lot more shoulder room. And Carbon Cub does as well. What they do is they bow their fuselage out at shoulder height. On the Legend Cub, we're 3 inches wider at the gear attach as well as the spar carry-throughs. You'll see the X-bracing like that. We Dodge stuff in a standard Super Cub. All the mods that ever came out on Super Cubs are integrated into these from the factory. But I'll close this just so you can get a feel for the width.
Check it out.
It is a bit wider. It's not too much. There's actually some of the other ultra utility Alaska Cubs that are so wide that you almost feel like you have to lean over to see out the side. That's not the case with this plane. So to me, it's a really good compromise of everything you could kind of ask for out of a Cub without too much sacrifice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It feels super Cub-like, Husky-like, Carbon Cub-like with some of the details and the finishing, of course, the Garmin G3X. Do you mind if I pull on this?
Yeah, do whatever you like.
Bit? I like the height of it. It's a little bit shorter, I feel like, than a Carbon Cub stick. But I feel like it's a really great natural height there. That is awesome. Wow. Super clean panel setup. I guess you got your G5 backup.
Yep.
So is this instrument?
It's not,
okay.
But at some point we might try to find space for a navigator and do that. I'd love to get my instrument rating. Currently I'm just private, so love to do that in this plane. But the reason I placed that there was I'd like to be able to let Haley, my wife, sit in the front.
Yeah.
And then from the back, I can actually see that G3X
awesome.
up and move. So I can use it as the primary flight display.
Very good.
few other things about the plane. Obviously, with the Rotax, it's liquid over air, so it's liquid cooled. And with that, we can run a heater that's not just off the heat muff, which has a couple advantages. One is that there's not really any chance we're going to get carbon monoxide in the cabin, but below your seat, there's a heater core, and it's got vents that go forward and back, so I have front and rear heat.
Wow, that's a game changer.
Yeah, and then
that is not normal.
both seats are heated, so
Okay.
I've got heated seats front and rear. We've got pilot and passenger USBs for power. I've got Starlink in the back, and then I also have 5 additional USB ports that are all triggered off a switch for running my cameras.
That's incredible.
The other thing, which I guess I should just show you because it's kind of cool. Let me get my keys. I outfitted it with a long wave infrared camera that's in the wing, which is a thermal camera. So the point of that, there's a lot of wildfire smoke out on the West Coast. This can see straight through smoke, and I mean miles, and in the dark. And what we did was we got the one that has the proper field of view and the same tilt to match the synthetic vision. So basically it validates what the synthetic vision shows with a thermal or infrared camera.
We're creeping on people in a whole new way right now.
Yeah. And so that right side, you're just seeing heat signatures off the people, the background. I mean, you can even see the clouds in the air. That's how far away it sees. Garmin Avionics are so dang reliable, but if there ever were to be something wrong with the AHRS unit that's doing something weird, now I can validate it with an actual sensor that's showing me what's in front of me. I wouldn't use it as a primary flight, instrument, but just for situational awareness, it's pretty huge.
That is awesome. So, how much fuel are you carrying on board?
So I got 2 20-gallon tanks, and we have a 1.5-gallon header tank under the passenger seat.
And
So
what does it burn?
it depends on your cruise speeds. So that's the other thing. Standard Cub on 35s, you're probably looking at about 85 mile per hour cruise.
Yep.
I eco cruise at 105 to 110, but if I want to push the power in, 115, 120 all day long.
Wow.
Miles per
Are you
hour.
kidding me? You
Yeah.
can't fly around with the normal Cubs. I mean,
No, I can slow to their speed.
You could.
So at Cub speed, I'm
Well,
burning
yeah.
4.5, 5 gallons an hour. It gives me 8 hours of range. At the higher speeds, I'm more like 6 hours.
wow.
Obviously can run car gas, being the Rotax, so anything 91, whether it's leaded, unleaded, ethanol, no ethanol, doesn't really care. It runs it.
Wow, very cool. Well, how do you like the Rotax 916 compared to the other engines, that you might have flown behind?
Well, I've flown extensively behind Rotax, and I'm very comfortable behind them, but at the end of the day, they've just got technology that the others don't have yet, and they punch way outside of their rated horsepower class. You might notice the size of this prop. That's a 3-blade prop. This thing's only rated at 160 horse. We're able to spin a bigger prop at a lower RPM, which is closer to the peak efficiency range for that size prop. So we're making the effective thrust of about 185 to 190 horsepower out of this. But it's turbocharged, so as we go up higher, there's no loss in power. And these blades, actually, the peak efficiency is at 5,000 to 6,000 feet. So I make more thrusts taking off at my house at 6,000 feet than I do down here. And I make full takeoff horsepower to 15,000. So density altitude is a non-event. It's not a concern.
factor.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm just now starting to fly out in Montana and in Idaho. I'm coming from Georgia. Density altitude is not really a thing. And having this 916, I'm sure is just an absolute game changer.
So the wing, just while we're under here enjoying the shade because it's hot out, what we did just as kind of an experiment, it was something that Legend was already working with, we integrated a leading edge cuff into the front end of the wing. So that pushed the leading edge 2 inches farther out. It's a tighter profile, so it's lower drag, but with the integrated cuff, it's also very happy at slow speeds. The problem we were running up against is the Rotax is so light that when we extended the leading edge of the wing, we just moved the center of lift forward, which would effectively make it tail heavy, and I have a gigantic baggage that was going to be rendered unuseful. So what we did was we extended the flaps and ailerons back 2 inches as well, kept the center of lift in relatively the same spot. 4 inches more chord means about 10 square feet more wing than a standard Super Cub.
Wow.
But it's lower drag. So we've got a larger lifting surface that is less drag, so I cruise faster and theoretically land slower. I don't know for sure how much slower, but it does pretty good.
Well, what are you typically landing at?
So I have some funny things going on with my airspeed, and I don't know if it's the placement of my pitot or what, but every time I turn final, doesn't matter what the windsock's saying, Garmin's telling me I have a headwind. So I think I'm landing slower than what it says. At full flat power on stall, I'm indicating about 34 miles an hour. I don't touch down at that. I'm normally a little higher because, man, this thing's like, I don't have slats. I have VGs very close to the leading edge, so it hangs like it's slatted. It lands slow. It cruises fast. It does a little bit of everything pretty dang well.
So you've got quite the setup going on in here. So maybe for some people that maybe aren't particularly familiar with backcountry flying, do you want to just go through some of the basics that you always have with you here in the airplane? I see the spot, the inReach. Maybe just go through that a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, here's the aft baggage. This section is considered extended baggage. The front baggage can hold 180 pounds. That's where all your heavy stuff goes. The farther back baggage is more for light goods, but we also have a molly rack system, which is what everything's attached to. So starting at the back, I always keep an airband radio with me. This is a little saw for cutting firewood, or if you ended up at a strip that maybe you needed to extend a little bit, you can use that. This is just kind of a universal pouch that holds, cleaning supplies, my sump. Like you said, this is actually a backup inReach. I have an inReach in the front, and if I'm getting really remote, I will have that one attached to my body where the other one's on my panel, just to be sure. Cleaner, first aid kit, toolkit have to be in the plane at all times. This battery is actually what powers the Starlink. So the plane's set up to when the power is on, it's charging this battery. The battery then passes through power to the Starlink. So I have Wi-Fi or internet in flight. But then when I land, as long as that's plugged in, I have another 11 hours of internet on the ground. So when you're in the backcountry camping, you're always connected. And then the Starlink's just mounted back here. It's on a magnetic mount, so if you want to take it out and move away, if you're camping farther away from the plane, you can do that. Otherwise, it just finds its home on those, and then it's
That's
down,
awesome.
it doesn't move.
Well, it really sounds like, the airplane is a little bit of everything for you in so many ways. I think that's the big takeaway and the big theme. It sounds, you can cruise, you can go in the backcountry, you can land on the sand. What can't this airplane do?
Yeah. I will say the only compromise that I'm coming from a Kit Fox, that's what everyone keeps asking, is I'm flying a bigger wing through the air with huge ailerons at a higher speed. With that, the stick pressure is higher. If you're just trying to yank and dank and follow a river, it's a little less sporty. But the trade-off is stability across the board. So landing really slow, heavily loaded with gusty wind conditions, I mean, this thing is rock solid. And it just gives you the confidence to be able to go in and out of the places that I go. I'm not going to say regardless of the conditions, but in more adverse conditions, and do it safely, reliably every day. I wasn't anti-Cub, but, I was always getting bullied by the Cub guys forever, and it was kind of a playful banter, and then here I am jumping ship, and I'm like, dang it, they were kind of right. It's I see why the J3 has such a good reputation and has such a soft spot in everyone's heart, and now having flown those and flown Super Cubs and now this, it's kind of my modern techie version of that, and it's a lot of fun.
That's incredible. Well, thank you so much for giving me a little tour and for introducing me to a world that I really didn't know much about. So now I can say I've sat in one. It is very Cub-like, this is incredible. Thank you so much, Trent. And always looking forward to seeing the kind of content you're putting out.